Hey, greetings. Love Them Knives channel, LTK here. Got a couple of knives that are interesting. I saw these, I believe Jake, Canadian Cutting Edge is his channel. And he did a video on these T-cut knives. And originally, this one is called the Tough. Is it tough? It's tough. This one is called the Tiburon, right there. Now have I got them all messed up already? Should have wiped that one down better. Okay, so these are these T-cut brand knives, and I have already done a review on the T-cut Zero, which is a smaller, lighter knife than this, and it also has that crazy deal with the pocket clip. If you look at this, I mean, you can deep carry, really deep carry, ultra deep carry, crazy deep carry. Actually, it pretty much kind of locks in here, and then it locks in all the way up. So, I mean, I'm showing these in between. I'm just messing with you. I mean, it really kind of has a little detent ball, and it kicks in right here and down here. So those are the two places that, I don't know if this thing would move eventually, if that detent ball would wear away and this thing would just slide down in your pocket at some point in time. I don't know. I don't know that I really care about this ultra deep carry thing. It's kind of a gadget, but I don't know that it's meaningful to me personally. But it's interesting. This knife, the Tough, it's not quite centered, but I took it apart and put it back together. I took it apart because I was just interested in seeing what's going on here on the pivot. I mean, it felt like bearings, and then maybe not in the way it comes back to you here. No, but coming out, it's pretty snappy. And this one is the Tiburon, which is really, it's a bigger knife, and this has this color scale, and I'm not sure that you can get them in a different color than this, actually. I didn't see green or orange, or I didn't even see this in black right away, but you'd have to check that out. You've got the deep carry pocket clip option thing on this as well. And these things have Sandvik steel, so it's, if you can see that, Sandvik 12C27. Here's a designer here, Sam Leung. This one, different designer. Joseon H, don't know. Same kind of steel. This one's like a 3.5 inch blade and 8 1/4 overall. This one is 3 3/4 inch blade and 8 3/4 overall, so it's under 9 inches. But this one has bearings, which is really kind of interesting that they decided to put bearings on one and not on the other. And then this is just those bronze washers. But I mean, it has pretty good action. It kind of reminds me a little bit of the steel wheel cut jack, the one made in China for whatever it is, 40 bucks, is bushings, and the one made in Italy that's got bearings and everything, and G10 instead of Zytel, is 140 something. So it's kind of following that path, although these are much more affordable. This is like $29 is, the suggested retail, I guess, and this is $39. So basically, this is 40 bucks. And if you're looking at a $40 knife, what are you looking for? I guess G10, this super deep pocket carry, Sandvik steel. So, I mean, I can think of some knives maybe of other brands that may not give you Sandvik and may not give you bearings, at the $39 price range. So maybe there's a market there. As well as you have a stop. You see that blade stop? Blade stop. So similar construction. Thick steel liners. And this one's, you can see, is skeletonized as well on the top. Of course, the bottom is the lock bar. I don't think you want to weaken that any. And you got this cutaway for, your finger to land on when you flip it. So that's kind of interesting. They'd think about that for a knife that doesn't cost that much money. Satin grind on both of these. So that's interesting. Liner lock. And, there wasn't any blade play on these. And there was no lock rock. Like I said, the Tough was not centered completely. And I don't know if I threw that off because I didn't look that carefully before I took it apart. But you can see where it favors that side just a bit. I mean, it doesn't ruin it, but I mean, it could have gone. I mean, you see how little that difference is? Not much. It's not going to rub the side or anything, but I just had to take a look-see. And let me show you something real quick. We'll get this out of the way. Knife Country, USA. So I went looking for these knives, and this is where I found them. I don't know. You tell me. I didn't see them on Blade HQ or Knife Center or, Knife Works or Discount Cutlery. I found them on Knife Country USA. And to get the published price, you have to click and go into the basket. And I think I did that. I think it's like $39. This might be a little under $39 for them. It's right around that, though. And here's your pause and read if you want. Basically, these are millimeters, obviously. But 96 millimeters is basically 3 3/4 inch. And 220 millimeters overall is about 9 3/4. So, made in China. You got that clip that goes up and down. Deep carry, ultra deep carry. Drop point, see tan, G10, I don't know. 3D craft work. Well, I guess they've done a little cutting on the scales. A little bit of contouring. Not bad. And packaging, yeah, the tube, man. And then when it comes to the Tough, that comes in the tube as well. So this is more like a $29 knife. And it's got the Sandvik steel, which is nice to have that kind of steel at that price, is, I guess. You've got this reverse Tonto. Kind of looks like sheep's foot to me. And the clip and all that kind of UPC stuff. Now, ding. Here you go. I took this apart and made a picture. I didn't know if you really wanted me to sit here and take them apart on camera, and I thought for time's sake, because I usually run long anyhow in my reviews, that you get to look at the kinds of bearings in the Tiburon. So there you go. Of course, you've got these stainless steel liners, both, under here, and then this, well, there's the liner for the top, there's the liner for the bottom, there's the bottom scale, So, and you got these spacers, but, see how they come on there? That's pretty cool. Because they locate the scale pretty well that way without getting into the other side. And you got the bronze washers on the Tough. So it is different. I don't know why they didn't go ahead and just put bearings. I can't be that much. It can't be that much money. I don't know. Strange. But just in case you were interested, I mean, I'm always kind of curious if I can't tell right off the bat or it doesn't say in the description. And it doesn't give you a lot of information online on these knives. I mean, you got these G10 scales, and they are, this one, got a lot of traction on this. You can see, there's no entryway into the pivot except back here. So you know where you're going to open it. It's not confusing, that's for sure. And then these, one thing I had an issue with is this screw here. I was turning it number 6 Torx and then this started turning. So they were both screwed into that spacer. So I had to put a wrench, number 6 on that side and then to break it away from the kind of stuff. But it wasn't, I think they had some really light Loctite on it, but it wasn't that big a pain. And of course, these you don't have to undo at all because this is just a screw holding the scale on to the liner. So that doesn't need to come out. And just these two and the pivot screw, you can pop everything off and it'll come out from there. So that was not a problem. Yeah, I mean you can fail this, of course, because it's like that. I mean, I can fail any knife, but yeah, you don't have that hydraulic drop, but we're talking $20-something. So, but yeah, I mean, if you put it to the ground, it flips out, snaps out pretty good. Reminds me a little bit about the flipping action of an Inland EL01 or something like that, something on washers. It's got jimping here on the flipper tab. And the flipper tab is pretty tall and fairly far back, so it's comfortable to get to. Okay? You have jimping up on top here. You don't really have a go forward position per se. I mean, yeah, you could probably do that. You don't want to get too involved down here, but if you wanted to, but you just go forward for tip control there. Does it feel good in the hand? Yeah. Pretty ergonomic. Feels pretty good. Let's check the blade stock out and the kind of just general information here. 1/15 of an inch. So 3 millimeter. Let's check the big boy here. I mean, basically he's only a 1/4 inch longer, but yeah, 3 millimeter. So same 0.115 type deal. Overall on the handle, 0.52. That's pretty substantial. A little over 13 millimeters. Let's see this one. No, not quite as thick. No, 12.5, 0.49. So this one a little thicker. You can see the contouring on the G10. On this one, this is a different knife. It really is. It feels different. And I don't know. I mean, is it worth $10 to get the contouring, to get a little thicker handle, to get a bigger blade, to get the, instead of the blackened hardware, get the shiny stainless hardware and the little extra design features here? Take a look at the landing area. Well, they've cut away for both of them, haven't they? But this one's longer. See, back further. And this is probably where your finger's going to land anyhow. Not up here, but just saying. This one has a G10 backspacer. This one's an open design with standoffs. Different in that regard. This is a fairly smooth texturing here. This is pretty smooth, okay? So that's different. This one's a lot more engaged here as far as real grip. So, yeah, think about that. This is a different type of blade design than this is. This might almost be better for slicing than this one, but they're both a fairly high grind there. So, and this one piercing, but this one's pretty reinforced as well. So it depends. Looks more like a buoy type grind almost in a way if they'd have brought this back a little further. And kind of a thumb ramp here. Feels good in the hand. Reverse grip. Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty comfortable. They come in, it's just so crazy. And these tubes are exactly the same size. I was like, okay, the knives are different size. and they stand the knives up in these tubes, okay? And so also, if you can see in there, there's the little tip guard. It slides on the tip of the knife right there. So, I mean, and the tip goes up here, the butt goes down here in that little groove. The paperwork is in here, is on the back. So, and they're made to, I guess, hang on a peg or something. They got these little, you know, adhesive things that close down the bottom because it's going to come out. This does not come off, or it doesn't come off for me. They come out through the bottom. So you peel these little stickers to the side and then pull this. Interesting, they come in these tubes. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. It's different, that's for sure. The feeling on the Tiburon with the bearings, I mean, it's very, very good. It's really good. I mean, it will shake down. Nice, huh? I mean, hey, $30-something knife. No jimping on this one. Isn't that weird? So this one, it's got jimping on the flipper tab. Probably need to be a little bit more engaged because the flipping action is not quite the same when you have washers. And if you look at these flipper tabs, I've noticed this one's taller than this one here. The Tough, the black one, taller flipper tab than the Tiburon. Actually easier to engage that way. And it's got jimping. This one, not so much. But, and this reminds me so much of, with this kind of, it's really weak detent. You can gravity flip it, not a problem. It's like a 5.5. But the bearings swing so free and easy. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of this. The real steel, knives with the needle bearings. These don't have great detent either, but they swing so nice that it's so easy to just flip them open. It's like a little fidget toy. It really is. So that's interesting. Although these real steel knives, here's a Sea Eagle, they're more expensive. So, I mean, these things sell for like $50, where this one's $40, this one's $30. So, it's just kind of starting to freak me out. It's like every $5 break, are we going to have a different, type of knife? It's, that's kind of strange. Yeah. And you know what? Another knife that comes to mind is the Rook, like this P121. This sells for $35. It's a liner lock. It's got Sandvik steel, and it's got bearings. So it's very, very similar to this. Yeah, although this is accessible from the Torx from both sides, which I don't know if really makes 6 of one, half a dozen the other. The other one that came to mind is the HX Outdoor knife. These are both made in China, as all the other ones I showed you are. But look at how similar how stiff that grind looks here. I mean, how crisp. And it's that way on this as well. It looks so much alike. Look at the pivots. I mean, they could have came from the same place. The pivots, at least. Even the hardware looks very, very similar. The metal liners. And so, here's a knife selling for, well, I mean, it was a flash sale. They were going for $16 a piece at the time. But this is 9CR, or 8CR9, 8CR14 MOV. So this is an MOV steel. This is a Sandvik. So this is less expensive. These normally go for like $22, $23. So this one's closer to $40. It's another $15. Both got, bearings, both flip really well. This one's a little heavier. This one's probably a little bit bigger, actually, too. But, just really reminded me so much in kind of the general style as well. Look at that. I mean, look at the angles here. Kind of all the way around. Interesting, anyhow. I mean, so you start crowding the field. I mean, I haven't even got a Ganzo out of here, but I don't have a Ganzo laying here. But, there's another one in this field. And that's a 440 instead of a Sandvik or an MOV. Okay, so before we get too bogged down in things, let's confirm this. See, it's a bigger knife, 3 3/4 blade, and then 8 3/4 overall, which is 22 centimeters, like they said in the specs. Okay, so 96 millimeters. There you go. Okay, but this one smaller, 8.5 overall. Yeah, come here. Or is it 8.5 or 8 1/4? I'm sorry. And so it's 3.5. It's maybe 3 5/8 actually. So we got about 90 millimeters instead of 96. 21 centimeters. So it's a centimeter shorter. It's a 1/2 inch shorter. There you go. Good. This one's a pretty good knife, and unfortunately it wasn't completely centered when I got done with it. I don't know if it was when I first got it or not. I should have looked at it closer before I took it apart. God only knows. And I didn't want to crank it down too hard. So this thing was really easy to turn when I got it and I was taking it apart. This pivot was. So when I put it back together, I didn't crank it all the way, which might have actually centered this out. So it might be my fault. In any case, I put a little blue, Loctite on there because I just want to bring it in to where there's no play. But still, I mean, I could have locked this down harder, but the action wouldn't have been as good. So I like to set the action. As long as I don't get blade play, I'm happy, even if it's just a little off. And you know what? It's going to be a carry user beater knife. It's just going to be one of those things that, you're going to use for and abuse maybe, and that kind of thing. Now this one's your cocktail carry. This is very fine. Oh my God. Another what? $10? Wow. Interesting. It's just very, very interesting. Different knives. Let's check them out for weight. Just to see kind of what we got for carry weight on these things. Just for jollies. Okay, 4.7 ounces. Let's get you grams for the gram people in the world. 133. So 4.7. Okay. Let's get this one down. 5.1. Okay, 4/10. It's not a lot of difference. 133, 144 grams. So, 11 grams. You tell me. Neither one of them are terribly heavy. This one's there, but I mean, you're talking just shy of 9 inches, So, good thing they skeletonized the scales. I think that did help on both of these. 1 minute, and we give you a little look comparison with like the paramilitary PM2. Okay, so yes, this is a bigger knife, of course. The Tough, how tough are you? Yeah, just about right there. Just about the same as a PM2. Right? So, let's grab something like the Manix. Yeah. Right there. I mean, right there. Basically. So, very, EDC size, fairly slender, good grip, jimping, you know, washers. So, but still deploys great. Interesting. Sandvik, you know, as opposed to an MOV. So that might be a thinker right there. Then let me throw this back in here. So that's the rake P121, about the same size as the big guy. Just about. I mean, you got to look at these scales here. A little bit smaller. More like the Tough, huh? More like the Tough. Yeah. There you go. Yeah, interesting. Bearings on this, very nice. I mean, these rake knives, wow, they're neat. And they got some others coming out. I got some that coming that'll be interesting to see, because they've got some new models out. And wow, I don't know. I'm enthralled with these. This is interesting too. I think these are fascinating knives, especially this Tiburon, you know, with the bearings and the Sandvik and the contoured G10. It's nice. It's not bad. See that? Look down here, see? You can tell that's contoured. Not bad. Not real grippy though. This is fairly smooth, G10. Which that may or may not be a good thing for you. And this, you want to go grip? Yeah, that's grip. The lockup's pretty solid on these. See how solid that lockup is? That's right into 50% all day long. This one is too. It's right up to about 50% right there. So, can't say that the liner is, it's not bad. I was going to say that it's not overly heavy, but that it's thin, but it's not really thin. It's about probably right for this size knife. But the action's really good on this one. I mean, I keep going back to this one. You know? Not that great for the detent, you know, because you can open them by gravity, you know, flipping them. This one, a little tougher to open because it's making more contact, you know, with the washers than it would be with the bearings, you know. So you got a full plate of contact between the blade steel and the washer. A little tougher, a little bit more forceful to get these out. So a little tougher to gravity flip, but you can do it. So what do you think? Interesting. I mean, I didn't mean to go all the way around the block on this thing, but you know, when I think about knives like this, there's just so many other knives that just start falling into, you know, play. The Rook knives, the HX, the Real Steels, and even the Ganzos. So, you know, what can you say? It's a crazy world out there. And now we haven't even thrown in things like CRKT, which this is like in the $40 range, right? So, and of course Kershaw, which I don't have one here on the table, but you know what I'm saying. Fascinating. And every one of these are made in China. You know, include the Kershaw if there was one, and God only knows, you know, you got a holdout from Cold Steel. So now it really gets confusing. But I just thought maybe you'd be interested in seeing if the T-Cut was worth, you know, grabbing one just for jollies to see what it's like. And yeah, I think you have to be aware of the difference between the Tiburon, and of course that's a bigger knife, and then the Tough, which is a smaller knife, and then the Zero, which is really a good little knife too. And it's really light and smaller than the Tough. And it's still got that deep carry clip that's adjustable. So I think the T-Cut's a really cool, really light carry knife. And then this is kind of more, you know, really the user, because it's not too big and it's not too heavy. But this one at only 4/10 more in weight is just the bearings alone are just, I really like it. I do. I really like it. But then again, I like, this one, I like this kind of stuff, the rake, and I like the real steel as well. So, hey, I'm that kind of budget knife guy, I guess, if that's budget, but I don't care if it's a budget or non-budget. They just function really well. So, and I do like the Fossil too, gotta say. In any case, hey, thanks for joining me. Appreciate it. Sorry it took so long, but yeah, I just keep going on. And I keep always finding something more that I really want to point out when I do these reviews. All right, take care. You know what we do around here. Yes, we do. We love them knives, so stay sharp.